you doing, Draftaholics? What's going on? We are on to week 6 already. It's the Thursday night mini episode where we bring you our hottest takes from last week, tell you how good they did, and we talk to you about the matchups to watch on Thursday Night Football. And it's a division matchup between the world champion Eagles and the struggling but flashy star-studded New York Giants. Oh man, it's going to be a great matchup, especially for us here on the East Coast and in the Northeast. My name is Matt Savoca, your host at Draftaholic. We are the Draftaholics, where we're always evaluating teams and players in the context of real fantasy teams, because the rest, as they say, is just pretend. I got the whole crew with me today from the Fantasy Orb up here.
What's up? What's up, Fantasy World? From the Fantasy Orb at George Slotin. Just like Graham Gano, I can kick 63-yarders.
Hey, that was amazing. Amazing to beat the G-Men on Sunday for the Panthers. Who's across from me today?
I'm William Spinato at W Spinato on Twitter. 2 N's, 1 T. The consonant man, as you say.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Continent man going to different continents, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's
back
right.
From the west coast of Canada last night.
Wow. Well, I guess he's in the same continent.
Yeah, same continent.
So we know geography just as well as
totally.
we know football. That's for sure there.
He's the continent man that's in the same continent, but maybe in a different conference.
Conference. That's okay.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
That's all
All right,
I
we're
got.
moving on. Okay, guys, I got a quick question of the week for you. Guys, we're talking about cognitive biases here. We're talking about a little psychology here. Blind spots. What are your fantasy blind spots? Something you can see in others, see mistakes or good processes that you can see in others, but you might have a little trouble recognizing in yourself. William, I'll start with you. What's your blind spot in fantasy football?
You know, when I saw this question that Matt posed on the show sheet this week, I didn't have to think about it very long because it's been something I've been analyzing a lot with my 0-5 records to start the year so far. I have a tendency to place bets on what can happen,
rather than analyzing the statistics and the history of what has happened at the past and placing a bet on something that's a little bit more likely to happen. I get these feelings about things that can happen. It's why I love players like Tyreek Hill, who can unlock a score that will just break fantasy that week.
Yeah.
He could do it any week, and I love betting on that. It's not necessarily the best bet, though, especially in season-long fantasy. You know, like, he's a great best ball player. We've said before, maybe he's like the perfect flex, but this year he costs a lot more than that. And I was picking him in our 3-person drafts a little bit too much, I think, because I like the possibility that something like that could happen. I like running backs with talent, like Isaiah Crowell, who you can get super late and have the possibility to score like he did last week, but doesn't necessarily have the plug-and-play RB2 or flex value that you need in order to take down a fantasy championship. So,
and yet we see him putting 30 points
Yeah,
up
right.
on a lot of season-long teams' benches last
but he's
weekend.
not necessarily someone that you can start. This year I ended up drafting Sammy Watkins, someone who you can tell the story of having a great week every week, but in reality he's more of a hit-or-miss, boom-or-bust player that you don't necessarily want to lock into your lineup.
So it's not necessarily do not draft in any format for these players, but it's what you base the rest of your team around. If that is the type of variance you're going for, then you're just going to need some more consistent assets, and that's always hard to find.
Yeah, a little misplaced confidence maybe in these things that might happen, but I should really be betting on things that have happened or have a really high likelihood to continue happening.
That's a little similar to what I had here as my blind spot, but for me it's analysis paralysis. Sometimes when I don't have a method for evaluating a situation, I can really think about this James Conner, Le'Veon Bell situation.
Oh boy,
when I don't have a method for evaluating, I can get just kind of locked up, and I can't really George was asking me, what would you trade James Conner for? What would you trade Le'Veon Bell for? And as a numbers guy, analytics guy, trying to run these tests, there wasn't a test. There just wasn't anything to do, and part of that is why we like fantasy football and fantasy sports, because there can be this uncertainty that we can either lean into or stay away from. But mostly, it's sort of what you were saying. We can only focus on the most predictable, the most likely, the most obvious, the most common sense. And sometimes when we talk about common sense, we need to think about it on a team-by-team basis too. I want to give you an example. Last year, the Bears were coached by John Fox, notorious neutral script runner, meaning he liked to run in situations where the game was even or within one possession. And then he was a notorious 2-possession or even 1 possession down runner. Even though he was down multiple touchdowns, he would often run the ball. That's why you saw huge production numbers from Jordan Howard his first 2 seasons. However, we know that is not optimal if you want to, win games. So it's also better for fantasy scoring when the team is scoring more points. So we want good teams. And in the case of John Fox's teams, they weren't that good despite that extra productivity for your Jordan Howards there. So you applying that to myself, it's all about just finding things that are obvious, things that are common sense, and avoiding things that are not common sense. That's a faded glory for you. Fade John Fox is really the story of the day. George?
I think my answer is that I think my love for tight ends needs to grow just a little bit. I don't necessarily think I think I'm at negative like 40%, and I think I need to go at least to 10%. Not negative 10%, but like I need to go above neutral.
Okay.
That's
big, George.
I am a proponent of the late round tight end punting the position, and let me give you a reason why. Zach Ertz, an extremely good tight end, arguably the tight end 1 rest of season. He has been a monster. Zach Ertz goes in the 3rd round of most fantasy football drafts, and he has currently about 70 points in PPR land. You know who else has 70 points? Emmanuel Sanders, who goes in the 7th round. So you say to yourself, oh, but I could get those points from a wide receiver 4 rounds later. What am I doing drafting a tight end? I'll tell you why. I struggle playing David Njoku, who's always going to be ranked in the top 12 or 14 tight ends every week unless an injury. And I end up getting 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 points from him, and I have the potential to lose my week. So in order to get that positional advantage early in your draft and make it up by listening to our podcast and knowing the players to go for or attack in the mid to late rounds and making up for it then and having one of those players come through, it's going to help you exponentially. And it's not just about the points anymore. To be able to confidently put in a tight end who can get you 12 to 15 points a week can win you the game. Every week can win you your week, not to mention your league. I'm not saying that next year I'm going to be drafting 2 tight ends in the first 5 rounds, but I need to start respecting those numbers. And that's something that I never have done. I've always coasted with the Charles Clays, the George Kittles, the David Njokus. I maybe will splurge for a Jordan Reed in the 5th or 6th round, but I have no Gronk, no Kelsey, no Ertz on any of my teams, and I wish I had 1 or 2 on some of them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, with the seasons they're having, it's pretty obvious why you would have some regret about not having them rostered in more places. With that said, guys, we do so much work around the time of fantasy football drafts, mining value at the tight end position. One of the things that I have liked to do, and we'll talk about this more in the offseason, is if you do splurge, as George is talking about, on that early round tight end, take a look in your draft, come round 9, 10, or 11, see which of your favorite sleeper tight ends fell through the cracks. There's nothing stopping you from doing the dreaded 2 tight end draft. If one of them are going to hit every week, I promise you, you're going to feel good. And with a 10th round tight end, when you already picked an Ertz or a Kelsey, guess what? You drop him if he fails. You just drop him, and it's okay. And it's not, and especially in a type of league like our league of record where running backs are so sparse. Like sometimes you just got to drop your second tight end for a running back. That's not a hard equation. That's not a hard thing to do.
Right.
So I'm a huge fan of it, much more than I was in previous seasons. George, I'm scared to see you seeing the light because that means that's just more competition in those 3rd and 4th and maybe 5th rounds for those elite tight end talents. I love that, guys. Let's move right into our week 5 hits and misses. And guys, I got to brag a little bit because I had a perfect week.
Yeah.
3 hits, the hit on the moonshot, the TD on the moonshot, and 1st round in the draft. So I'll break us down for the draft first. I did come in 1st place. all right, done bragging. I had Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Ben Roethlisberger, and Ezekiel Elliott picking from the second spot. George, sorry, buddy, I have to go to you last. William, you got second. Melvin Gordon, Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, your favorite, and Cam Newton from that 3 spot in our draft. George, you picked first, but unfortunately ended up third. Alvin Kamara was really the problem there. I mean, he had his first dud week. We're not concerned about it at all, although Ingram looked great.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, Julio Jones, Adam Thielen, a stud, and Matt Ryan playing out of his mind as well, could not get you past third place. So that was our draft. If you look us up on YouTube, you can see the full draft board as we're going through this really fast, just so we can move right on to week 6. Our quick shots from last week, we had the cash smash 3 for 3 here for all 3 players.
Woo!
Todd Gurley for yours truly, James Conner for George, and William had Melvin Gordon the second. And
Third.
we all
The third.
Going the third.
That's right. That's I'm so sorry. They were all hits. We get a point each for that.
Melvin Gordon the second also had a good week, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
All
Just
the
in
Melvin
life?
Gordons.
In
Just
life he
all
did?
the Melvin Gordons. Don't question me. So now it's the faded glory. Golden Tate, he had a huge week 4.
Yep.
Did not have a huge week 5. Boom, hit. And then Saquon, sorry, buddy. He hit.
Yeah.
Scare for all Giants fans on that second touchdown. He landed awkwardly. Looked like his back spasmed for a second. Looks like he's going to be okay. Thankfully, there. Kareem Hunt, he was a miss as a fade as well. He didn't have as huge of a game as he did 2 weeks ago, but he still was very productive, got in the end zone, and he did hit in terms of salary position there. Floor play, guys, Yeldon Fournette. This Yeldon situation with Fournette possibly now, we're hearing that he could be out to week 10.
Yeah.
Yeldon's like a plug-and-play tight end.
He's a surefire RB1. He's catching balls. He's running the ball.
Pretty soon he won't be allowed in floor play. So, in fact, William, I'm taking him off the list for tomorrow's episode there. So, next we had Zach Ertz, complete hit on the floor play. Man, we just waxed poetic about early tight end, and Zach Ertz embodies that production right now. And David Johnson, you took the time to talk about how his price got reduced, and now he's a buy, and look at that.
He hit.
He was a value, points per dollar hit, easy peasy. That's how we do it. Now, for your Buck Allen take, he had that goal line carry. It was so close. You and Mama Spinato, I'm sure, were just close to being on the phone for hours talking about your Buck Allen call, but it was not to be.
Just barely didn't happen. But his usage is looking exciting. I think Buck Allen is someone you definitely have to pay attention to.
Took the words right out of my mouth. He outsnapped Alex Collins. Alex Collins continues to be banged up. We're going to talk about a stat called quality opportunities. Guys, you've never seen me get more excited than me talking about quality opportunities. And Buck Allen is receiving those quality opportunities at a much higher rate than Alex Collins.
For sure.
That matters. So, George, you, my friend, call Geronimo Allison and pivot to Marquez Valdez-Scantling if he was out. That's exactly what happened. Allison's still in the protocol and with a hamstring issue.
Yeah.
He's out. MVS, as we're calling it. And he nearly had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Really, really close there. Equanimous St. Brown. Shout out to these incredible wide receiver names for the Green Bay Packers. He, too, looked like a good player. With all that said, they probably go back to sort of bench roles when Allison and Cobb come back into the fold.
But it's exciting for the future of the pack there, definitely. With the young wide receiver talent that we're able to just kind of step up and play for Aaron Rodgers, they're going to keep being really good.
I'm telling you, this front office in Green Bay is playing for keeps. They are some of my favorite personnel decisions over the last year and a half, and when it coincides with a GM change, that's what I like to see. So finally, I had to save it up, build it up a little bit, because who hit? It was Mr. Kiki Kuti. I can't say his name correctly. It's definitely Cutie. I'm going to be pronouncing it wrong till the end of time. He had tons of targets.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown. Again, those manufactured backfield passes is, I guess, what we're calling them now, where we essentially just pitch forward. It's one measly air yard. It's basically an 100% catch rate, and it's PPR gold.
Yeah.
I love it. Kiki Kuti. I can't even say it right. I can only Kiki Kuti. Super happy about it. So that is our quick shot hits and misses, leading us to our standings in the quick shot games, the Draftaholics game, where we get 5 points for a draft win, 2 points for a second place draft finish, 1 point for every quick shot hit, and if our moonshot scores a TD, we get additional points for each TD. Guys, sitting in first place, 30 points. But right behind me, right behind is 24 for George and 21 for William. It really is those draft wins that on those odd weeks, there's basically going to be one of us that pulls away, and then even weeks will come together. So, or I mixed that up, but you get the point. So with that said, I don't want to take a lot of time getting mad about our one lineup to rule them all, but when half of them get knocked out in the game in the first half, it's not going to look good.
No.
We had a Rams stack fading Todd Gurley in our tournament play. Obviously, Gurley went off, and that's why we put him in our cash lineup.
Yep.
We gave you 2 lineups to rule them all. How nice are we? And that cash lineup ended up doing a lot better. All right, that is it. That's it for week 5. We're moving on. We're on to week 6. It's the Thursday night matchup. That's right. Eagles at Giants. Eagles obviously favored, I think, 3 points here. That's correct here. We got our matchup to watch. That's where we get a little bit deeper into this matchup because we are just focusing on one game, one set of offenses, one set of defenses, and we can get a little bit deeper into the nitty-gritty of this matchup here before we get into our full episode just later in the week here. So, William, I want to start with you. What's that Thursday night matchup that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I think it's kind of a chalky Thursday night matchup, if you will, because everyone is talking about it. But in the absence of Jay Ajayi going to the IR, who is going to be the lead running back if there's going to be a lead running back in Philadelphia? Mm-hmm. Darren Sproles has already been listed by the Philadelphia Inquirer as out, so it's going to be between Clement, Smallwood, and Adams. And in the past, it seems like, well, last week Clement was a little bit banged up, and Smallwood took a pretty decent share of the load and performed very well. He scored twice. It's possible that he could end up being the lead back. I know in our league of record, one of our buddies paid up pretty well in Fab to get him.
Something like 50% of his budget.
Yeah, but you never know. It could end up being the Corey Clement show. I remember in the offseason, there was a lot of hype around him, considering how he performed at the end of the year last year. But then when you actually go back and look at it, Smallwood was not on the team when he was playing last year. He was down on the 53. He didn't make the 53-man roster. Yeah, he was on the practice squad while Clement was performing. So we don't really have anything to look back to in terms of history of when just the two of them has been leading the backfield, especially without Sproles. There definitely is some kind of opportunity, but it's really up in the air. I don't know how you can confidently say either player will perform better, especially looking at just last week where Smallwood performed very well. I don't see how you can say it's a surefire bet that Clement is good to go. But apparently Peterson said in practice today that Corey Clement is 100% good to go in terms of health, so they both have a fair shot. I'm interested in seeing which RB sandwich turns out. I mean, which running back is the best in Philadelphia.
Did you say RB sandwich?
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I think of Arby's... Did
you just think of Arby's, and you just wanted the meats?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
On our show,
that is an amazing Freudian slip. Yeah. Go on. That was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was a joke. But anyway, I'm excited to see who plays out for the high-flying Eagles.
I love that. And you know what, guys? I do have to mention there have been rumors. Shady McCoy, longtime Eagle LaShawn McCoy, who
I didn't want to jinx it.
to the Buffalo Bills. He has apparently been inquired for. We don't really know what that means. We also know that the Bills were non-committal and they weren't doing that typical song and dance of a player that is absolutely not tradable.
Right.
Which gave some hope to some people. There were some Le'Veon Bell rumors flying early. I don't think that one's going to happen. We'll leave that.
Nothing's going to happen by Thursday, though. So
That's right. That is right. So my Thursday night matchup to watch is the deep ball, the deep passing game. And really, it's down to the differences between Wentz and Eli. I got to say, shout out to @FriscoJosh. Josh Hermsmeyer on Twitter, works for RotoGrinders and 4for4, I believe. And he runs airyards.com. I'm going to give you some instructions. I'm going to tell you specifically what to do on how to find if a quarterback can throw the deep ball or not. You type in airyards.com on your browser. You find the Players tab and you click QB Efficiency. Then, in the app that pops up, you choose a player, you select that player you want to see if he's good or not. Under Choose a Plot, you say Pacer, that's PACR, by depth of target. and then you filter out those QB hits, which he does just down the screen. If you're looking on our YouTube page, I will obviously post a visual of me doing that in real time, but what you will see is the passer air conversion rate. That is the number of passing yards divided by air yards, and it's separated out by the depth of target. And what you will see with Eli Manning is suspect. It's weird, folks, because prior to 20 air yards, Eli Manning is an above average quarterback, period. He is efficient, or so it seems. And then at 20 yards, where Odell Beckham does damage, it plummets. It craters. It's a problem. It is deserving of criticism. I'm not sure a Sunday morning interview, the way Odell Beckham did it, is the best way to do it, but I would be annoyed if this player was able to be efficient, but because of some sort of deficiency, is unable to place that efficiency in the area of the fields where some of the best players on his team operate. That's a problem. Yeah. And I'm mad for Odell Beckham. And I'm mad for Saquon Barkley, too, because I feel like their utilization rates, while sky high, are inefficient usages because of Eli Manning's deficiency. Meanwhile, on the other side of the table, Wentz has been notoriously great at deep balls. He has actually been really good looking at his personnel when he was mostly slot targets as his main guys. However, I am totally fading Alshon Jeffrey. Quietly, the Giants are allowing only 0.2 wide receiver 24 and higher performances per game. So essentially, 1 out of every 5 games, that's one time this season, have they allowed a wide receiver 24 or better.
Wow.
Now, that's going to help when you play teams like the Cowboys, but they're not playing them every week. That's still a strong secondary, and I think that Wentz is going to have to do his good old short passing game, and you know who that is. That's those running backs. That's Zach Ertz. That's Dallas Goedert. That's Jordan Matthews, his old friend, and Nelson Aguilar in the slot. Fade Alshon. He'll probably prove me wrong with 2 touchdowns over the shoulder for 30 yards, but it's the deep ball. It's all about the deep ball. Who can do it? Who can't do it? That's who's going to win this game. George, what's your matchup?
My matchup is a little bit more fun-based. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of either team. It's so easy to hate the Eagles, and I'm just not a fan of the Giants. But I will say that Mike Shula really impressed me with that play call of Odell to Saquon last week for a beautiful touchdown. I know it probably went the ball he threw probably went like 15 or 20 yards north-south, but it must have gone another 75 yards east and west to get Saquon all the way across. I mean, Odell had an arm. I think that was probably the longest throw any Giants player has thrown this year, which is interesting. So I'm anticipating a Sterling Shepard to Wayne Gallman touchdown this week, just to continue. The love.
Hey, you're
there.
JoJo Natson and Kadero Hodge random pieces.
Yes.
They hit. Josh Reynolds too.
Yes.
So you could have this.
Josh
happen.
Reynolds hit. So I am not sure. I don't anticipate Wayne Gallman catching a pass from Sterling Shepard, but that's what I'm going to be on the lookout for this Thursday.
Oh, George, the matchup to watch that no one was thinking of. Thank you for that slogan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I really think that this game I really think that this game is going to be just as Vegas says. It's going to be really close. I think there's like a 10 to 15% chance that we get one of these sneaky shootouts like 38-35, but I don't think so. I think it's a typical Thursday night NFC East kind of slugfest. All right, those are our matchups to watch. We, of course, return with matchups to watch on our main episode where we pick our fantasy bonanzas, the ones we're really looking forward to. And
That's
I
right.
can promise you there are 2 that stand out from the pack on the Sunday slate.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're going to finish out our Thursday episode with our 2-minute drill.
Oh.
That's where we break down our news and notes, basically the same ones you're reading, of course, give you our little take. Just a quick short answer here and there. Although, William, I know you're always liking to give me the thorough answers.
I'm gonna try.
I mean, it's eloquent. What can I say? I like to listen to it, but not during the 2-minute drill. And our time starts now. As we said earlier, Coach Doug Peterson confirmed Corey Clement is 100% good to go. Who do you think leads the Eagles in touches from the running back position? Go.
Smollett.
Clement.
There you go. I think it's Sproles when he comes back. All right.
That's a cheat. Sorry.
Oh, so what?
not
I'm sorry.
playing this
I trick questioned
Which
you.
one? Small order or Clement this week?
Clement.
Okay.
Okay. So James Conner should not go on the shelf by any means, said Ben Roethlisberger, if and when Le'Veon Bell ends his holdout. Is this just locker room positive talk, or do you think it'll be a full-blown committee? I ask you every week.
Yeah, I said it before. I think it's a committee when he comes back.
Committee or one or the other, George?
Committee, welcome to the Saints.
Yeah. Or could it be? Could it be Saints 2.0, or should I say Chargers 2018 2.0?
Sure.
Leonard Fournette is officially out for Week 6. Rumors are he will be out to Week 10. How important is the Jamal Charles signing? We know about TJ Yeldon. He's a plug and play until Fournette is back. Does Charles mean anything?
I think it just means that they're a little more worried about Fournette than even this Week 10 rumor states.
So it's really about Corey Grant and Fournette.
Yeah.
George, do you agree with that?
I think this will be. I wouldn't be surprised if he was cut next week.
Wow.
Fournette?
No, Charles.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We still have not seen what he looks like.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players of all time. And can I just say, he was balling out in 2015, his last full year with the Chiefs before he got hurt, and he really hasn't been the same. Jack Doyle and T.Y. Hilton look lined up to miss yet another game for the Indianapolis Colts. Mr. Iron Man, especially Jack Doyle, really surprising to see. Who do you think steps up?
Chester Rogers again.
Yeah, Chester Rogers. It could be Hines again, but also there's Ryan Grant over the middle. I just think it's a dispersed target share.
I'm excited about Nyheim Hines, but I think Ebron continues to soak up that red zone work.
Yeah, sure.
And finally, Lamar Miller, definitely good to go Week 6. Now, I need to ask you something. With Alfred Blue outscoring all of Lamar Miller's fantasy weeks in his Week 6 bell cow game, his cowbell bell cow game, as George likes to say, are we in the midst of another RBBC, or is Miller still the guy in Houston?
Nope.
George definitely thinks so. He traded away Miller, that's for sure. And also, you've mentioned Deonta Foreman coming back too. Yeah, I think there might be another deadly RBBC happening in Houston.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, Lamar Miller, first of all, why did Alfred Blue look, he's Alfred Boo. Happy Halloween.
Alfred.
Why did Alfred get 28 touches? Lamar Miller is the RB1, and he didn't get 28 touches probably combined for the first 4 weeks. No, that's not true. But Bill O'Brien never let Lamar Miller touch the ball 25 times. Why? Why did Alfred Blue get it but not Lamar Miller? It blows my mind. I still think Lamar Miller is the better back. I don't know. I don't understand it. And Deonta Foreman will only make things more
complicated.
I'm just out of breath. I can't breathe. Why?
It's a great place to end it, because I was such a Lamar Miller truther in his Miami Dolphin days. I said, feed the man, and that's what the Houston Texans paid him to do. And then they didn't. And then they didn't feed him. I just don't think he
did perform well last year, though, when Deshaun Watson was in. So it wasn't a crazy bet to make. And to be a fan of the player, it's not a bad thing either, but it's just not working out that
No, way. It is not. All right, folks, that's our 2-minute drill. We're breaking down the news and notes as fast as we can, just like you and for your teams. We are going to be back very soon at the end of the week with the full breakdown of games. But of course, we got our recap. We've got our Thursday night matchups. And of course, we got our takes for you on all that before we get into our quick shots next time. So with that said, I am your host at Draftaholic on Twitter. My name is Matt Savoca. Who's in the fantasy orb?
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. I had to pray before this week begins because I have to win. That's the Shema. That's some Hebrew for you. I'm at George Sloten. Give me a win, O Lord.
Give him a W.
I'll take one of those two, please. I'm William Spinato at W Spinato on Twitter. 2 N's, 1 T.
Yeah. Thanks for checking us out, guys. Have the bonanza in your league so everyone stays in till week 13, by the way. We are the Draftaholics, where you're only as good as your last pick.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Shalom.